You ever felt alone in a crowded room? Loneliness isn't just about physical separation. It's a deep sense of isolation that can be emotionally draining. Science tells us loneliness can be linked to unmet expectations in our relationships. Sometimes, no matter how many people are around us, we feel like we're the only person living in this world. We feel lonely, we feel left out. Loneliness can be dangerous if we don't know how to handle it. But one thing that we often don't realize is that the same loneliness that is troubling us can be transformed into a blessing. Always remember, every challenge and difficult situation in life can be a blessing. We know how to handle it. So in this video, let's talk about how we can deal with loneliness and transform it into a blessing. To deal with loneliness, we first need to understand its root cause. Many people think that loneliness or the suffering associated with it depends on other people or an external source. They believe that when people leave them or they are separated from loved ones, they feel lonely. But this is not always the case. Even in the middle of relationships, even when family and friends surround you, you can still feel lonely. This is because loneliness does not arise solely from external circumstances, from our internal state. Loneliness occurs when our interactions with others do not match our desires or expectation, creating a sense of emptiness and suffering. As the Buddha teaches in the Dhammapada verse 338, just as a tree, though cut down, sprouts up again if its root remains uncut and firm, even so, until the craving that lies dormant is rooted out, suffering springs up again and again. The Buddha uses the metaphor of a tree to illustrate this point. If you only cut down the tree at the trunk, it will grow back because the root system is still intact. Similarly, if we only address the symptoms of loneliness without understanding and addressing its root causes, it will continue to reappear. Therefore, one crucial insight is that placing our happiness and expectations entirely on others is bound to lead to suffering and loneliness. This is because our expectations may not always be met, leading to feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction. So how can we transform this loneliness into a blessing? It all begins with a shift in perspective. Let me share a story from the time of the Buddha to illustrate. Before his enlightenment, the Buddha practiced severe asceticism, engaging in self-mortification in the belief that it would lead to liberation. During this time, 5 monks accompanied him, believing that his efforts would eventually lead to enlightenment and that they would benefit from his teaching. However, after a prolonged period, the Buddha realized that self-mortification was not the path to enlightenment and abandoned it. Disappointed, the 5 monks left him, and the Buddha found himself alone in the jungle. But here's the key. Although he was alone, he was not lonely. This period of solitude gave him the opportunity to turn inward and focus deeply on his own mind and practice. He used this time to understand the nature of suffering and the path to liberation. From this story, we learn that moments of loneliness can be opportunities for introspection and self-discovery. When we feel lonely, it is a chance to focus on ourselves, to reflect on our lives, and to develop a deeper understanding of who we are. It allows us to build inner strength and resilience. Embrace solitude. Solitude gives us the chance to turn inward and focus on our inner values and strengths. It allows us to practice self-compassion and self-care, which are essential for our well-being. Self-reflection. Use this time to reflect on your life. What are your desires and expectations? Are they realistic? Are they contributing to your sense of loneliness? Self-reflection helps us understand our minds better and align our actions with our true values. Develop inner qualities. Loneliness provides an opportunity to cultivate qualities like patience, resilience, and mindfulness. By focusing on personal development, we can transform ourselves and create a more fulfilling life. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us stay present and appreciate the moment, reducing feelings of loneliness. It allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment and to respond to them with kindness. Build a stronger relationship with yourself. Loneliness can help us build a stronger, more loving relationship with ourselves. It encourages us to appreciate our own company and to develop a sense of inner peace and content. When we start to see loneliness as an opportunity rather than a burden, we can begin to transform it into a blessing. We can use our time alone to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. This shift in perspective is crucial. Buddha's journey is a profound example of this transformation. Alone in the jungle, he was not lonely because he used that time to deepen his understanding and to cultivate the path to enlightenment. His solitude became a period of profound growth and realization. In our own lives, we can take inspiration from this. When we find ourselves feeling lonely, we can choose to see it as a time to focus on our personal growth. We can turn inward, reflect on our lives, and work on developing our inner quality. By doing so, we transform loneliness from a source of suffering into a source of strength and self-discovery. Understanding that loneliness does not always depend on other people, but on our inner state is empowering. It means that we have the power to change our experience of loneliness. By shifting our perspective and focusing on self-development, we can turn loneliness into a valuable and enriching experience. So, embrace your moments of solitude. Use them to grow, to reflect, and to develop a deeper understanding of yourself. Remember that loneliness can be a blessing if we know how to handle it. It can be a time of profound personal growth and self-discovery. You found this helpful? Consider subscribing to more videos on mindfulness, self-compassion, and overcoming challenge. Namo Buddhaya.